And welcome everybody to the 12 o'clock show with Mayor Joe. No 12 o'clock alarm today because apparently the weather already impacted everything earlier. So welcome. We have a huge show today. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to start off with my first guest, Reynoldsburg City School Vice President of the Board of Education, Jeni Quesenberry. Thank you, Jeni.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Always an interesting time of the year this last year.
Yes.
Mandy was here last week and kind of gave us things, so you'll see a little of those similar things, but
Yes.
a couple of other things came up. So first question I'm going to ask, I know the district is doing a lot of, getting a lot of feedback from community members and focus groups about the strategic plan.
Yes.
What is the plan going to be when all of that information is there? How's it going to be presented to the board? How will that be presented to the community?
Right. So hopefully you were able to attend the strategic, or the State of the Schools, where we had the strategic planning lab. We've been gathering feedback and data from groups, staff, parents, community members, all of that. And then in April and May, I am reading notes, so yeah, I can't remember everything these days. The strategic plan steering committee will meet to synthesize and identify those major issues that we have, along with values and priorities. In June and July, the district's leadership team will create actionable strategies and communication plans, and then that will be again presented to the board, to the community.
Yeah, so everybody's going to see it. So this is not like a top super secret plan
It is
or anything
not
like that.
top secret. Everybody will see it as it comes forth.
All right. I did speak to the strategic thing. That I know this will come as a big shock to you. They had to set a separate meeting for me just to be on the safe side and make sure they didn't run over time limits and things like that.
Right.
So what do you think? All right, take everything that you've heard about before you
Yes.
get the results of this. What do you think are the three biggest challenges for the district right now?
The first one, obviously, is our financial stability. It's been 15 years since we've had a levy. Costs are rising, and we are staying stagnant in the funds. So it is important that we really address that need for the financial piece. The other thing is policies. As you were telling me earlier, the state has come through with so many different policies that we have to constantly keep on top of them. There's the Parent Bill of Rights that we're waiting for.
Real soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cell phone policy, which went in last year but has changed since. Parents will get more information on that. There's also the AI policy, student conduct policy. So there's a lot coming from the state that has to be taken apart and figured out.
Yeah, that'd be a good way.
Yes.
So I think, I'll talk more about the school stuff later. But yeah, a lot of information was there. I'm not really sure why the State House decided to announce anything related to the state budget for school funding the day before my show. If they were smart, they would do it after.
Right.
But, maybe they're just thinking if I have less time to do a little digging into everything. So.
Right. There was one more. We had the hiring and retaining our staff. That's always a challenge. Mm-hmm. Teachers, there's a lot of need for teachers and not a lot of people going into that field.
I wonder why.
Exactly.
There was a big news piece yesterday on NBC that actually talked about the city of Columbus is having a very hard time attracting special education teachers.
Yes.
Now, granted, one member of the State House mentioned that special education teachers are lazy and they don't do anything, so again that kind of is a level setting thing for it. But it's one of those things where even in the best of times with no external issues, it has always been hard to hire special education teachers, let alone in a time period where there's not a lot of interest as much as it used to be.
Right, and I would invite people from our State House to come and spend not just a day. We need to spend a good week.
Yeah.
In our regular ed classrooms and our special ed classrooms and really feel what is going on.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to be there.
I don't think so either.
So, same question, and I know it's only been a week, but I'm just asking in case anything's changed. Any discussion on when the next levy may be on the ballot, or do you know when a decision would have to be made? I know that there's like an unofficial cutoff to get something on the ballot.
Right. We're still in conversation with the superintendent and the treasurer. If we were to do an emergency as we did last time, I believe that cutoff is August.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that same time frame stands for where we're at right now. But we need to really continue to look at those expenses. and be able to provide those high quality programs for our students. So yeah, it's always a
we'll
wait.
find out.
Yes, yeah. Exactly.
All right, so this is a little more technical question. So the way that this budget process works is the governor presents his budget, and so he did that about 3-4 weeks ago.
Yes.
And then the House and the Senate House released their budget yesterday,
Yes.
and eventually they're going to work together to come up. But one interesting provision in the governor's budget I found interesting because it was kind of like an oddball. It's like something that most people would probably glance by.
Right.
But as I was going through it, because that's what I do for fun, I found out that if the building has less than 60% occupancy of use, then the state could do something with it. But now they are looking to change that and saying that if the building has 60% or less of student occupancy,
Correct.
then that building could actually be sold or leased to another academic institution.
Correct. And I spoke with our executive director of operations, Mr. Wagner, and about this previously when it first came around. And we are aware of it. It's the thing is, it could go to a charter school.
Mm-hmm.
It could go to a charter school.
Yeah.
And that chances are that would be the way that it would go. So he is working on ways to look at, so we're not maybe losing a lot of property in that.
Because once they're in,
Exactly.
it becomes a whole other different thing.
Exactly. And I think my feeling is, though, that if it's not safe for our children, really isn't safe for anybody's children. But
something tells me they'll figure
something out. That's right.
To deal with it. So I found it interesting that of all things. Now, obviously, I don't know if that particular portion has been touched in the House budget or where that's going to be.
Right.
But it was just an interesting thing because before, I get that if a building is just sitting empty and nothing's being done with that's fine. I know Hannah Ashton's a little bit different because I know storage is going on there and there's still training and there's other things going on.
Right.
So, all right, enough of the really heavy stuff. The last question is always my favorite because this is that time of the year where the difficult job of being a board member is a little bit more fun because you can go to different things and experiences in the district. Obviously, graduation is its own grand thing.
Exactly.
But is there anything else that you're really looking forward to seeing or participating in between now and the end of the year?
Today, we have our Say Yes to the Prom dress that is sponsored through Joseph's Coat.
Mm-hmm.
And students are able to sign up to come in and then look for a prom dress and leave with that prom dress.
There you go.
So that's going to be exciting. Also, the field days that we have, seeing our children just having a great time. Spring sports, we love that. And then, of course, you said graduation.
Yeah, that's always
a big one.
That's always the big one.
Yes.
Any questions have come across?
No.
All right, so you and Mandy have both escaped the gauntlet of crazy questions.
All right.
So congratulations. No, thank you for taking some time today.
Yes.
Please go enjoy. I know everybody will be looking forward to seeing some of those pictures and things.
Yes.
Now, are you going? Has somebody asked you to go to prom yet?
Well, actually, our board member, Fatima, she has invited us all to go. So whether or not we go, I'm not sure yet, but we'll see.
I'm hoping Mac does something really big and just has like this
Limo.
grand.
We went last year together. He bought President Abram and I a corsage, and so
if you're going to do it the right way.
Do it the right way. That's right.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in today. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Again, I know I usually mention it. You have office hours coming up on April 15th from 5 to 6. I assume it's City Hall.
No, it's actually at the board office.
Okay,
yes,
because I know that's right before the next
right before
board
the
meeting.
board meeting.
I cannot stress how important it is to take advantage of that. It's not that you don't mind nobody coming, but the whole purpose of you having those hours there is you want to have people to come in and engage with you. I know sometimes people do, sometimes people don't, but that's an opportunity.
We've had people every time that we've had the board office hours over at the
board.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's good. Well, thank you very much for coming in. We'll see you
soon.
Thank you.
I'm off to say yes to the prom dress.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, so now I get to introduce. There's like so many titles for this next individual. Vice president is pretty good, but now we have the Mel Clemens Community Award winner, and we have another one that I continue to forget. So let's just welcome wonderful person, Jen Welday. Jen, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I know you're thrilled to be here. We can all tell.
Just shaking a little bit. I also have notes.
No, that's fine. So there's, we've known each other, and obviously there's been a lot of things on social media that people have probably seen, and they probably have heard your name, but they might not know necessarily exactly why they know your name. So we'll start off with this one with the superhero sports program. So tell us a little bit about that and why that has become such an important thing for our community.
Sure. So superhero sports is an adaptive sports program. So what that means is the participants in this particular instance are children and young adults. And it's a way, they all have an intellectual or a physical disability. And so this is a way to get them to play sports on their level at their ability. And so like we offer soccer, baseball, and flag football currently.
Okay.
I coach and my husband, got to give a shout out to him. We coach the baseball and flag football. And so it's adapted, like for the baseball, every athlete can choose to have the ball pitched to them or hit off of a tee. Mm-hmm. And then everybody swings until they hit. So we don't have outs. And everybody gets an at-bat, and they all run the bases, and then we switch sides and do it again. We usually get through about 2 innings, because sometimes it takes a while to hit the ball, and that's totally fine. We just are there to let them play on their level. And then I've heard with flag football, being on the sidelines watching it is kind of chaos. I will say it's fun chaos when we're in there playing, but I can see how on the sidelines you're like, what is happening? Because a lot of times we don't follow the rules specifically of the game. We just try to make it fun. I always say to the parents, my job is to get your kid out here, play a little bit, get them really tired, and send them home.
And I'm sure they're all very appreciative, especially the getting tired part.
They're getting tired part, yeah.
Well, so you did win the Mel Clemens Community Award, and so I want to know how did they tell you? Was it just you picking up the phone, or did they call you in? What was that like?
Okay, so I got a call from Michelle in Parks and Rec, and I thought it was something related to. I was like, it's not really time to talk about baseball. I'm not sure why she called me, and she just told me that I had won that award, and I just kind of sat there for a minute, and I was like, I think my first words are, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Because I am a background person. I said that
obviously being on the show, you're definitely
I'm in the background doing things, and that's where I'm more comfortable. This is super outside my comfort zone, but I get to talk about the superhero sports, so I can do it. But it's very much an honor that to be recognized for the work that I've done. So
well, it's not like
I appreciate it.
And I know that you don't go into this hoping for awards and recognition. You're going for it, like you said. I can imagine just what you look like when you see the kids having fun and the athletes having fun.
Yeah.
That's why you do it.
Yeah.
And this just happens to be something that is icing on the cake, sprinkles, things like that.
Very much.
Now, the other award that you got, which was not long after this, what is the exact title of it? Because there was a lot of debate about what exactly the phraseology was.
The phraseology. It is the Ohio Parks and Recreation Association Youth Sports Coach of the Year.
There you go.
I had to write it down.
Now you see why I was one of those things. I'm like, wait a second.
A lot of words.
Yeah, a lot of words. So obviously, not only are we recognizing what you've been able to do here, but this was taken to an entirely different
state level.
This is a state level thing.
That was...
how was that? I mean, did Michelle call you again for that, or was there something a little bit more into it?
That's a funny one. This was like a week after the Mel Clemens. I got the call, Mel Clemens. I got a call from Parks and Rec.
Again, another award.
No, and
oh my goodness.
I was like, why are they calling me? And I thought, oh no, I made a mom mad or something. I was so worried or somebody mad. And I called, I didn't answer the call because we were camping at the time. So I was like, I'll just do it with it later. And then I was like, well, I'll call back. And Donna actually answered the phone and told me that they had nominated me for that award. And I was like, okay. And she was, and you won. And I said, what is even happening right now? So yeah,
That's a pretty cool thing.
That was a very cool thing. Very cool.
So I guess moving forward, you're not done. You still have things to do.
Yes.
So my question would be is for everybody watching right now or watching later on, what can they do to help support the program? Because I'm sure you have tons of volunteers and all the funding and everything is easy and all of that.
Yes, that is exactly.
But if not, if you needed something, what would you ask? How can the community support you?
So we always need volunteers. I say that every time. My ideal situation would be that every child or young adult that needs help out on the field has somebody with them. And a lot of times when you have a child, like I have a child with special needs, well, okay, he's an adult now.
He's always your child.
He's always going to be my child.
Yeah.
But a lot of us parents have to be very hands-on, even to get them to do something that when you have typical kids, you say, okay, they're going to go play sports and you send them out. But a lot of times the parents have to be hands-on in this situation to help them participate. And so my goal of having somebody that can be with that athlete lets the parents be parents and just sit on the sideline and cheer their kid on. So we adults and teens, we love to have anybody out to help out with the teens. We call them shadow coaches. So they just kind of being the shadow. You don't need to have any kind of athletic prowess. I said I coach flag football. I'm still hard time with the offense defense. I don't know. I'm just out there. You just need to have a big heart. And if you can't be out on the field, if you just want to come out and watch us, we'd love to hear the cheers, and it'll be your little dose of feel good for the week.
There you go. Well, if you want to participate, reach out. I assume probably Parks and Rec would be the easiest.
Parks and Rec,
So reach out to Parks and Rec. I'm sure that we can give schedules out and things of that nature.
Yep.
I know it's on Facebook because I've seen it on Facebook. So pay attention to that stuff and help out. And again, from all of us here that from the city, thank you for everything that you've done. Awards or not awards, what you did and what you continue to do is an amazing thing for our entire community. So we thank you for that. I know the Mel Clemens Award is a little bit different for us because of their connection with Mel and things like that.
That makes it special.
I think it's better than the state award, but that's just me. But it's just one of those things where it's nice to recognize. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome to stay.
Well, we did have one question come in. I know Joe had touched on it a little bit, but maybe in your own words, could you talk about what is the most rewarding part of coaching superheroes?
Oh my gosh. I always say, people are like, oh, that's so inspirational. It's like, I don't want to be inspirational. I just want to be out there, or these athletes, they just want to play. And part of, there's things like Miracle League, which are very cool. They're very well funded. They have beautiful, improved fields. But Caleb, my son, and also some of the other athletes, they just want to play on the field like everybody else. Caleb would intentionally get dirty so that he could be like a baseball player. So he would fall in the dirt. So that stuff like that, seeing these kids and young adults, just be able to play on their level and not be left out, which so often happens, is, I hate to say inspiring, but it is inspiring. But they're just amazing people to hang out with. And so it's my honor to be with them.
That's as good an answer as you're going to get. All right. Well, thank you very much. Again, you're more than welcome to stay, but I know you have a lot of things that you have to do as well. So
thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. As always, there's tons of things going on. We mentioned the office hours for Jeni Quesenberry. I'll go ahead and push that chair out of the camera view because I know that's what the next thing is. No commercial breaks here. We just kind of move forward. So Jeni Quesenberry has her office hours on April 15th. Board member Neil Whitman has them every Friday from 3 to 4 at the Graham Welcome Center. Just a reminder, we have the Reynoldsburg Education Foundation the Designer Purse Bingo that is coming up on April 12th. Tickets are $40. I don't know how many are left. I know that there were some, but there weren't a huge number. But if you're interested, tickets are $40. That gets you brunch and 2 mimosas. You can also buy additional bingo cards there, and I'm going to probably assume that there's other mimosas that you can go for as well. Cool things that have come up. One, Reynoldsburg Youth Football Camp is June 7th from 12 to 2 at the Livingston campus, the stadium, open to kindergartner through 8th grade. You're going to have some Reynoldsburg players and coaches out there helping with that. It's a great event to come in. I know it doesn't seem like summer is that close, but it will be here before you know it. Reminder, chickens! Yay! We get to have chickens discussions. So that process is going to start on April 14th, so we have a little bit of time. But basically, council has been asked to consider allowing domesticated chickens into the community. So that's going to be a question the council has to answer. The questions like how many chickens, do you have to get a permit, what happens with this, that, and the other, what happens if you're bad to your chickens, do you like them roasted, or are they more, Kentucky Fried, whichever the case may be. There's a lot of options to consider out there, but if you are interested either for chickens or against chickens, this is your opportunity to have your voice heard. So please come out to City Hall for the council meeting on April 14th. I imagine it'll be a pretty big crowd, so keep that in mind. Some other cool things coming on. We've got the Reynoldsburg Police Department and the Truro/West Licking Fire Department/Viola Township are going to be doing the Battle of the Badge. We're hoping Viola Township. The Battle of the Badges dodgeball game. So that's this Saturday at the Reynoldsburg Community Church. Doors open at 5 p.m. Tickets are $5 per person, and 100% of the proceeds go to the Autism Society of Central Ohio. So come on and check that out. It'll be kind of a round-robin, double elimination thing. So it'll be there. It's going to be a lot of fun because you're going to hear a lot of dodgeball quotes, and there's going to be some great athletic skill on display at this event. So hopefully you can come out there for that. We also wanted to kind of recognize, and if you haven't seen the video yet, last week was Reynoldsburg Spring Break, and they had a junior police academy. And if you had a chance to look at the video that was produced about all the activities that the kids did, please check it out. It's on the Reynoldsburg police page as well as on our Facebook page. It's just a couple-minute video, but it kind of gives you an idea of everything that goes on. The kids were ecstatic with it. It was really cool to see them kind of transition and hearing some of the stories and things like that, but to give a really good idea about what potential law enforcement is and things like that. Now, some of the kids were really enthusiastic and were voluntarily going to this thing. Other kids, you could kind of tell in the beginning, were like, I'm being forced to do this. But by the end of it, they were enjoying it. It was a good time for everybody, so check out that video. Also, on the ballot is for the Licking County side of everything. West Licking Fire has a levy, and they're going to be discussing that on April 30th at the Taylor Road Firehouse. So if you want to know what that levy's about and how that's going to impact you, come out to that April 30th open house. We will have a representative from the fire department come out here, I think probably the couple of days before this, the Wednesday before, and we'll talk about what that levy's like, and they'll explain the need for it because, again, things are expensive, and believe me, you want to make sure your fire department has got all the best tools and equipment out there. So looking forward to having them on. As far as Wagner Road, the Great Culvert replacement has started. So our first one is just before you get to Priestley. That work has started. You're going to see the major digging and moving of stuff probably beginning on Monday next week, but they're just getting everything staged. Probably about 5 to 10 days this will be closed, but you still have north and southbound access from Broad Street to Priestley, and then you have north and southbound access from Main Street till right around that neighborhood right beforehand. So keep in mind that. Once this is done, we'll move to our second culvert, which is actually the culvert by St. Pius. Again, that'll take probably, let's say, 5 to 10 days, give it a little bit there. Once that is done, traffic will be northbound only from Main Street until you get to just around Amelia Drive. That will be northbound, but people will have north and southbound access from Broad Street to Amelia from that point forward for the duration of the project. I will say that once these two particular culverts are done, the next step is going to be stormwater. And probably I would say by the mid to late May, you're going to start seeing the curbs outlined on everything. And that's what everybody's looking for. They want to see, okay, we've been seeing this project. All the boring stuff is done underground. Now we're going to start to see the curb work. So again, as long as the weather is cooperative between now and then, that's when you're going to start seeing that work done. Any questions about the joys of the Wagner Road project?
Not yet.
All right. As far as Taylor Road, the sewer project is moving along. They're done with their night work. Now they've made the crossing, and as the next couple of weeks go on, they'll be working on Taylor Road, basically in that area, moving from where they're at, which is basically by the Kroger, all the way down to really the property line area. And this is just for sewer. That's it. It's going to be all underground. I don't know. I think it was 15 feet deep, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And that sewer line will be extended all the way back basically to Summit Road. So for everybody in that area, you will see that. Just also want to remind everybody that this is not a City of Reynoldsburg project, but the Ohio Department of Transportation is moving forward with the next step of the 70 and Taylor Road project. They were granted funding to start purchasing what they call right-of-way. So all of the land that the Department of Transportation needs to build this project, they're going to start negotiating and talking with those residents as the plans are pretty solidified at that point. So it's going to be an interesting thing. If everything works according to plan, they're looking to start the construction probably sometime in 2027. The City of Reynoldsburg, Etna Township, and Pataskala are partnering and working on a traffic plan for everything that happens after that. So once you get off that 70 and Taylor Road off ramp, what happens when you're trying to go to Broad Street? What's improvements or what conditions will be there at Taylor and Palmer, which is in Etna Township, Taylor and Maine, which is in Reynoldsburg, or all the way to Broad and Taylor, which is actually the Pataskala intersection. So there's a lot of things moving in there, so we're trying to coordinate ahead of time for a change. Any questions?
No.
All right. So we also have the Owl Hike, starting with our Parks and Recs programming. That is April 4th from 7 to 8 at Pine Quarry Park. So I'm sure you'll see who is out there to look at that one. So enjoy that one. We also have our Community Cleanup Day, and there's a lot of different pictures here for it. So you've seen it online. The big things that we always get is we do not take tires. We do not take anything that's going to explode. So no ammunition or things like that. No medical waste, refrigerators, but we do take batteries, paints, rat poison, insecticides, all those different types of things. So for a more comprehensive list, check that out on our webpage. We've got Habitat for Humanity is going to be there. We've got Volunteers of America collecting clothing, books, home goods, document shredding. They're going to collect some of the unused medicine, Respectful Flag collection, bulk trash items collections, electronics, and all of those things. We have the Adult Cornhole League, which is still registering, starting in May 6th to June 24th at Eastside Brewery from 6 to 9. It's $40 to register. The games are going to be on Tuesdays. You can have 5 people on your team and kind of interchange as you go through. The Easter Bunny Breakfast is filling up, so if you want to see the Easter Bunny on April 12th, now's the time to register. Go ahead and check it out at the Parks page. That's from 9 to 11 at the Senior Center. There's going to be eggs, sausage, pancakes, fruit crafts, games, and of course, the bunny itself. And if that's not fun enough, then the real fun begins. From 12 to about 12:02, there will be an Easter egg hunt right in the area right next to Huber Park. And I say that because it's not going to take long. They're going to start it, and then before you know it, it's over. But don't worry, if you have kids of different ages, they will have it broken down. So you're not going to have like a 13 or 14-year-old kid that is too cool for everything to kick everybody else away to get the candy. They're going to have their own section. The younger kids will have theirs own as well. And there's all sorts of things. So thank you to the Lions Club for working on that one. We're looking forward to it. That's 12 again to about 12:02. We also have this weekend, and the weather's going to be perfect for it, I'm sure, is the Civic Park Volunteer Cleanup with Franklin Soil and Water in the Conservation District. It'll probably be at the back section of Civic Park. So go ahead and check that out. You're open. You don't have to sign up ahead of time, but you can. There'll be probably donuts and coffee, and everybody will be there, and they'll tell you this is what you need to cut down and remove. So all you have to do is cut. City staff will be able to take it and get rid of it from there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We also have our Arbor Day coloring contest, which you only have a little bit of time left, just a couple of more days, actually just till tomorrow. So it's any second grader in Reynoldsburg is eligible to make that picture as beautiful as they want it to be. And then go ahead and submit that, and then you'll get recognized as we celebrate our Arbor Day coming up. Last thing from the sports world, we talked a lot about it. It's a co-rec softball league, so for those of you that want to continue and live the glory days being out on the ball field, feel free and join that one. It's Thursday night, 6 o'clock and later, so a lot of fun with that one. So now we got a couple of things on development. As I did mention last week, and you probably saw a couple of news pieces and everything else, there is going to be a new job center that's coming to Reynoldsburg. It is going to be primarily logistics, but it could be other things as well. It's going to bring about 400 jobs to Reynoldsburg. And they're going to move pretty fast on it. They're projecting around an $18 million payroll, which will make this one of the largest job centers in Reynoldsburg. So it is a huge victory for it. So shout out to the 40 Under 40 Director of Development, Eric Meyer, who's just announced he got the Biz Journal's 40 Under 40 for his contributions. I know he'll be thrilled on that, and we'll have him on the show in the not-too-distant future, but it was a huge thing. This is a really, really, really rough diagram of what this is going to look like. It's probably be a little bit different, but not too much. Again, it's a logistics and it's some warehouse things, so there's not a lot of spectacular splash and all of that. But the reality is it's going to be good-paying jobs, and it's going to be jobs in our community that we desperately do need. So we're happy with that. Some other things as far as development, you have a Skilled Trades Expo at Fort Hays Career Center. So for those of you that are looking to do something else, that you want to get involved in something more hands-on, whether you're still in high school or if you're an adult, it's a great opportunity to get some information from the skilled trades, so carpentry, electrician, HVAC, things like that. That'll be on April 10th at the Fort Hays Career Center from 4 to 6:30. So I hope you can get a chance to join that one. One day we'll get them to come out to Reynoldsburg, but Fort Hays has a lot of parking, so we'll figure that one out. And last but certainly not least, really good news. Earlier today we had the Hart Food Pantry pre-construction meeting. So basically how the process goes is we know the building was approved and all of the engineering had been reviewed and all of that. So now they're ready to actually start doing the actual work. So in the next couple of weeks, you'll start seeing some areas right behind the current Dairy Queen. They're going to be putting in the footers and things like that. So you'll start to see that building move forward. So it's a good thing, especially with all the need on the east side of Columbus. With that, we also have another fun event that's coming up. We have our May 6th ballot issue. Again, we mentioned about the fire levy, but we also have the Public Works Commission Capital Improvement Fund. This is what helps municipalities pay for all of the road projects. So the Main Street project, Wagner Road, the soon-to-be Summit Road project, and things like that. All of this is done based on progressive taxes and things of that nature that have already been submitted. So it's no new taxes to you. You're not going to notice a difference in anything. Nothing goes up. But it helps communities take these big projects and get a handle on them. So we've been very successful with that grant funding. I think we're approaching probably $18 to $20 million just with the OPWC grants alone. So it's been a good thing for us. So again, take a look at that. That'll probably be the only thing on the ballot. On the Franklin County side, I think on the Licking County side will be the fire levy. And the ballot. We also have the grand reopening. The Reynoldsburg VFW is going to go ahead and reopen because the bridge is now open. That's going to be Saturday, April 26th from 3 to 6 p.m. There's going to be all sorts of things there to kind of help generate funds for the VFW and celebrate kind of the new thing. It's a great organization if you get a chance. They do breakfasts every Saturday, so go check them out. It's always a good thing. It's a nice way to say thank you to the veterans in there, just as a nice casual way of doing it. So we appreciate the cooperation on this project. There's going to be a whole bunch of things in there, and we'll get that out. So any questions so far?
No.
All right, so we do have a town hall coming up for me. We'll probably have a couple of them the way it's looking. So right now, my town hall is going to be on, I believe it's April 24th? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so April 24th at City Hall. It's going to be from 6 to 8 p.m. And these are the topics that are going to come up. We're going to talk about development. So for people that want to get like a real question, like why can't we have whatever, roosters, piata, a bowling alley, things of that nature. That's where I'll actually get into it, and we'll talk about why those things can or cannot happen. We're going to talk about street projects and get an idea of, okay, how are we going to start fixing the roads that are not the big Main Street and Wagner Road stuff. We're going to talk about traffic. I know everyone thinks that that they never speed, but ultimately a lot of people do speed. A lot of people do go through red lights. So I'll have some information on what we're trying to do with that. And then I'll probably talk about how the city of Reynoldsburg, the State House, and the federal government, how they all work together, because obviously there is coordination at various levels for different things. And so with everything going on with the state budget and at the federal level, how is that impacting Reynoldsburg, and how will that ultimately impact the residents of Reynoldsburg? So I'll address some of those issues as well. So I'm looking forward to it. So we've got some other things coming up. So I'll talk a little bit about the state budget before I get into the school funding thing. First of all, the people of Ohio passed Issue 2 in 2023. Issue 2 was the legalization of recreational marijuana. And in that, there were a lot of provisions about how many plants and the THC content and all these things. But one particular part in there was that a portion of the taxes that were on the sale of recreational marijuana would go to the municipalities to use them as, I don't want to say as whatever they please, but use them for the benefit of the community. So for the city of Reynoldsburg that is going to have a recreational marijuana facility, we were going to get roughly 36% of the taxes from the sale of recreational marijuana. And I had really earmarked almost all of that to go to our Civic Park project. This was something that was passed by the voters. A lot of communities decided to go ahead and allow for a recreational marijuana facility based that they could get that particular set of revenue. The State House, however, has changed a lot of things. And the one thing that impacts the city that is frustrating is that instead of 36% of that, it would be reduced down to 20%, but only for 5 years, because they felt that that's all that we needed. I don't agree with that. I think this is more or less a cash grab by the state to get that revenue, knowing that this is what the voters passed, in addition to all the other things that were in there. So if you're curious, take a look at it, reach out to your state representatives. and suggest that they go ahead and continue what the people wanted in the first place, which is the full funding of it, the 36% coming to the cities. The rest of it I'll get into in just a second. So I've got some comments on this funding plan. So obviously, you know me, I love talking about school funding. So let's kind of go back a little bit and have a conversation, because not everybody understands how this is working out. So in 2021, after a number of years, the bipartisan, what they call the Cupp-Patterson plan, was put together in 2021. And what it did is it really addressed how much does it cost to educate a particular student, regardless of where they're at in the state of Ohio. How much would a general education be for your average student? And they found out a baseline of what that would cost. And then if there were special education needs or gifted needs, or if there was something else going along with it, they would be able to add a certain amount that would be fair compensation to make sure that that particular student would get educated. It was universally embraced. Nobody really hated it. I think the only thing that people had problems with is, how do you change the funding stream in the middle of everything? How do you do something where it doesn't hurt smaller districts with fewer students while benefiting larger districts and things of that nature? So they had a lot of a phased-in approach. So at this time when it was submitted, the projected cost that they had anticipated for education in the state of Ohio for this upcoming budget year was around, of all numbers, $666 million. Sometimes I think they should just round those things up a little bit, but that's just me. But when you adjust it to inflation, because of everything that has happened since 2021, that number actually goes up to about $800 million. And the State House has decided that they're going to put their plan out there and fund it at about $226 million. Now, is that an increase based upon what had been done previously? Yeah, it's going to be a small increase. I'm not going to say how big of an increase it is until we see some of those numbers, but it's not fully funding our schools. It is a little bit more money that was still short of actually fully funding our schools, while at the same time diverting significant amount of money to privatize education, which is ultimately the State House's goal. That's what they want. They don't want to fund public education because of any number of reasons. A lot of them come out, well, our public schools are failing. Our public schools are woke. Our public schools are this. Our public schools are that. And the reality is, okay, show me the evidence of it, because every school district, their curriculum is designed by the State House, and it's designed by the state legislature, with the exception of sex ed. That's the one specific thing that is only them. So if the schools are teaching something that people find objectionable, that's the State House that has approved all of those things. So I don't buy we're teaching woke ideology and things of that nature. The other part of it is in there, we've never fully funded schools in the first place. So how do you know that they're going to be failures or successful if you've never fully funded it? If you're going to open up a business and you know that business is going to cost $10 million a year to run, and you say, oh, I can only do that for $5 million, and then when the business fails, you wonder why. Well, it must be poor management. No, it's because the funding isn't there, especially with all the additional mandates that go on. But let's just play around a little bit, because a couple of comments came out that one of the things that's in the budget is funding for a sports stadium. All right, I'm a sports guy. I'm a Chicago Bears fan. They're going through the same thing in Chicago that Cleveland is going through here about what to do with the stadium. So the Haslam family is worth about $8.5 billion. And they have committed a whopping $38 million in funds for this particular stadium that'll be around $600 million. And the comment from one of the representatives was that when you're trying to compare the stadium funding to, school funding, it's an apples and oranges comparison, because, the stadium is a one-time fee where school funding is a long-term fee. And you know what? He's not wrong. He's absolutely right. So let's look at the investment benefits on this one. So the projected revenue from the Haslam organization, the Cleveland Browns, has said that their projected revenue is going to be about $6.3 billion over 30 years, which is about $210 million a year. Or what I think is the better investment is if you were to take every student in K-12 education right now and freeze it in time right now, that is, they graduate, nobody else coming in after, they would generate alone $9.7 billion per year based on how much money the per capita income is. So the per capita income in Ohio is about $61,000 and change, which is actually rated 38th in the United States. So we're actually per capita, as far as income, we're ranked 38th out of 50. For comparison's sake, in 2010, when school funding was a little bit better and things were more invested in that, we actually ranked 22nd. So we've actually fallen significantly in your per capita income over the last 15 years or so. And so this is the solution, is we're going to go ahead and support this because the revenue is going to be generated from a potential, not the Cleveland Browns going to the Super Bowl, because I think a lot of people have their own comments about that. But if the Super Bowl were to become in Cleveland and have a kind of an event like that, it would generate that kind of revenue. That's more important than every other single kid in public education right now. So don't worry, they came up with some more solutions on this one. They came up with how to deal with property taxes. So one thing that's in there is a proposed solution. So everybody, the way that school districts and cities are run is that we are supposed to, at minimum, have 25% of our general budget in reserve. And that is something that is recommended by every accounting firm, every professional organization that's there. Reynoldsburg was actually far exceeding that for a number of years. When I first got onto the board, there was somewhere close to 60 million more than the average, than what the budget was needed and things like that. That's why Reynoldsburg did not have to go to the levy for a ballot every couple of years like a lot of school districts, because they manage their money in a different way. So now what we're proposing is that any school district that has more than 25% of their funds in general reserve, which is the minimum requirement, that they will actually have to go below that, or they're going to get penalized, and they're going to have the school districts pay compensation to property owners to match whatever it is that they should be getting based on those funds. And then on top of that, if the school district wants to build a new school building or something like that, if they don't have 25% of their funds in there, they may get a lower bond rating when they borrow money for a building. So in theory, the State House is saying, we want you to have less than the required amount of funding that could hurt you and cost you more money in building things. But at the same time, that's the only benefit it's going to be. So for Reynoldsburg, for instance, that because of their financial difficulties, this is the only good news that they have, is they're not going to be at that 25% threshold. So nobody's going to be getting income tax back. So for all the senior citizens in Reynoldsburg, that one of their biggest concerns, and I agree with them 100%, was that they were not going to be able to afford their homes if this property tax increase went into play. The plan at the State House right now does absolutely nothing to help you. Absolutely nothing. And we keep going back again and again and again, and it's getting close to 30 years since the state of Ohio has declared school funding unconstitutional. And no one seems to care. We care about our own kids' education, but at the State House, it seems, we only care about private school education. We only care about those wealthy communities that can afford these types of things. And that's wrong. Which brings me to my next and final point. Ohio is unique. On one hand, we are struggling as a state to attract business, I'm told. I see people talking about how we're having difficulty because of our archaic tax system, our state taxes, our municipal taxes, these taxes, and everything else. And everything is horrible, and no one wants to come and start businesses in Ohio. Or we're the state that just recently got, obviously, Intel, the Anduril drone facility, the electric car battery plant in Marysville, Honda plants, and everything else. And we're actually currently ranked 3rd in the entire nation as the state of Ohio as an economic development standpoint. We are there. So we are either too bad that we can't get anything done, or we're incredibly successful. But unfortunately, people are telling you that we're both. Just depends on the audience. They're telling people that we're bad and it's archaic and taxes when they want to go ahead and give tax breaks to organizations that may or may not need them. Because obviously, if those organizations needed these massive amounts of tax breaks, would they still come to Central Ohio? Probably not. So when you look at the people that are representing you, that are representing me, that are impacting this city, that are representing this state, it's time that we hold people accountable for some of these things, because what they're doing is hurting the long-term growth of the state. I said it earlier, 2010, we were ranked 22nd in per capita income. And with a lot of the changes that have gone on in the last 15 years, our per capita income has dropped to 38 in a state that has been led in one particular direction for a long time. So keep those things in mind when we're out there, because the rest of us that are actually doing the jobs, your mayors, your city councils, your township trustees, we're the ones doing the work. The people at the State House needed to get it together and actually start working for everybody and the people. And with that, I say thank you. I welcome Dennis Nicodemus from Truro Township next week to be our guest. I'm sure we'll have some fun things to talk about there. Stay safe, stay respectful, and make sure you pay attention to what's going on out there, because a lot of things are coming up. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.